Hey everyone, and welcome to the next lesson in the series on AWS fundamentals. So today I'm going to be teaching you as to how you can go ahead and create an application load balancer. Okay, so let's get started. Now first of all, you want to head to Amazon EC2. So I've bookmarked it here on the navigation bar. Okay, and what I like to do is to turn off this new EC2 experience that you'll see here on the info panel. So the choice is yours as to what you want to do. So this will just make the UI look a bit different. I just prefer it this way. You can decide what you'd like to do. Now you want to click on instances. Okay. And what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to close this. Okay, what you want to do is go and click on launch instance. Okay, so do be aware if this does look different, just switch it here accordingly to the new EC2 experience. So if you want the newer version, you can just click here. If you want to use the older version, just turn this off. I'm using the older one at this moment because it's a bit clearer. I will be switching in and out of this UI here, so just bear that in mind. So I'm going to launch an instance. Okay, here we go. And I'm going to just give my server a name. So here I'm going to call this server 1. Okay, I'm going to leave everything as default, so just make sure you've set everything to free tier, as you can see, that you've chosen the Amazon Linux. Then be sure to set your instance type as T2 micro. Okay, if you don't have a key pair, okay, be sure to create a new key pair. To do that, you would just need to add a key pair name, make sure it's set to RSA, and then choose your private key file format, .pem or .ppk, okay, and then create your key pair. So I've already have one, so I'm just going to set that here. Okay, under network settings. Okay, so if this is your first time watching this video, what you would need to do is create a security group with the following parameters. So you want to allow SSH traffic from anywhere, and you want to allow HTTP traffic from the internet. So make sure that you have these two enabled if you don't have a security group that allows this, okay? So make sure you select these both, okay? If you do have a security group, okay, that you've set to allow SSH traffic and allow HTTP traffic, you can go ahead and select that existing security group that you created earlier on. Now, I've already done this, okay? I've already created a security group that allows SSH traffic and that allows HTTP traffic, okay? So I don't need to create a new one now, okay? But if you haven't, make sure you set these parameters and then carry on following the steps. But I've already done that, so I'm going to say select existing security group. And I'm going to choose Launch Wizard 1. And Launch Wizard 1 allows SSH traffic and HTTP. Okay, so we can scroll down, and now we want to go to Advanced Details. Right, so we can click here on Advanced Details and scroll down. And what we want to do is we want to add the user data. So I have user data here, so examples of it. So for my first server here, and I'm just going to copy this here. Okay, and I'm going to paste it in here. So don't worry, I will ensure that I attach this in the pinned comment of this video. So just be sure to check that out. So this will be for my first server. I'm going to create 2 servers because remember we're creating a load balancer, and basically a load balancer is going to distribute internet traffic between these 2 servers, server 1 and server 2. So I'm just going to put the user data here from server 1, as we see here, okay, and just set that accordingly. So all this is going to basically say is hello from server 1. Okay, but don't worry, I will attach this down below. Okay, now just double check your summary. So make sure that you've chosen the Amazon Linux 2 kernel. You're using a T2 micro instance type. You've set your security group, and your storage and everything is set. Now you can go ahead and launch your instance. Okay, let's go to instances. And you can see it's pending at the moment. That's great, but what we can do now is we can go ahead and create our second server. So what I'm going to do now is actually going to turn this on now. So I want to change the console. So it doesn't, yeah, this should be fine. So it's cleaner for you guys. Okay, now let's create another server called server 2. So we go to launch instances. Okay, and I just want to close that out. And we can type here server 2. Now you can scroll down, make sure you choose the Amazon Linux OS image. Make sure it's a 64-bit. Set your T2 micro as the instance type, free tier eligible. Just choose your key pair. Okay, and again, like I said, if this is your first time creating a security group, go ahead and set allow SSH traffic from anywhere and allow HTTP traffic from the internet. But I already have a security group, so I'm going to select one, and that is the one that I used earlier for server 1. Okay, so just be sure to select your security group. Okay, now you can scroll down, go to advanced details, and we now want to add in user data here. Okay, now I have another file here, which is called a user data server 2. The first one here was user data server 1, so this is for server 2. So I can close server 1 here. I can open this one now. Okay, paste this in, and you'll notice it's exactly the same as the previous user data that I installed. The only difference here is it's saying hello from server 2. Okay, and that's because we named our server here server 2. Okay, that's perfect. Just double check. You have the same software image AMI as me, the T2 micro instance type, and the same firewall. Okay, so go ahead and launch your instance. Okay, let's go to instances. Refresh here. Okay, and now you can see that our servers are busy here. So server 1 is running, but the status check hasn't been completed. Server 2 is currently in a pending state, and the status check is still to be done. So what I want you guys to do is wait until the instance state for both of your servers is in the running state, and ensure that the status check here shows 2 out of 2 checks passed. So do bear in mind that. Okay, so that's it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video, and I'm just going to wait until the instance states are running and both status checks show 2 out of 2 passed. So you're just going to have to wait for that. So you can see this one's ready, but we need to wait for this one. So let's just wait for that, and then I'll resume the video. So let's just wait. All right, so we can now see that our 2 servers are up and running. They in the instance state shows as running, and the status checks have both passed, 2 out of 2. Great. Now let's actually go ahead and connect to each of these here. So let's connect to server 1 here, and we can open the public IPv4 address here. So make sure you open it this way, and you'll see you would need to double click in here and just switch over to HTTP. And there we go, hello from server 1. So this is pertaining to this server here. Now let's look at server 2. Okay, just click on that, open the address here, and then you want to double click in here, and you want to switch this to HTTP because that's the endpoint we allowed. And there we go, hello from server 2. So we have our 2 servers here. Okay, so you should have that, and that's what you should see at the moment. So we can also check this by the public IPv4 address, as we can see here. Now do know, as I mentioned before, if for some reason, if you open it here and you can't, if it doesn't allow you to actually click in the URL here, what you can do is you can simply just remove that and just copy the public IPv4 address like so for each of these servers and just paste them in. Okay, that's another way that you can do it. The only reason I do it this way and switch to HTTP is because that's how I want to explain it to you guys as to how we set up our security group to allow HTTP traffic. So this is the reason I did that. Okay, so you'll see now that you have server 1 and server 2. What we want to do now is we want to create a load balancer. So as I mentioned earlier on, okay, a load balancer is used to distribute internet traffic, okay, among distributed servers. So we have 2 servers here. And what we want is we want a single endpoint, okay, which will be based at our load balancer. And that endpoint is going to distribute traffic automatically between these 2 servers. Okay, so that is what we want to do with a load balancer. So we're going to have 2 EC2 instances, okay, with the load that's going to be switched between both of them with the load balancer. Okay, so let's go ahead now and go to our load balancer. So you want to click on the info panel here. So if you don't know, click on this icon here. And you want to scroll down until you see load balancers. So it'll be under the load balancing section. So go ahead and just open this up here. Okay, so you just want to open a new tab here. Okay, and here we go. So let's just wait for this to load. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and actually create a load balancer. So you'll notice once we say create load balancer that there are many types. We get the application load balancer, the network load balancer, and the gateway load balancer. Now, if you're planning on just creating a normal web application or website, an application load balancer is the most appropriate. Okay, if however you're planning on handling millions of requests per second, okay, with internet traffic and traffic of any kind on your server, you would need to go with a network load balancer. Okay, but the application load balancer is appropriate for websites and web applications since it does allow HTTP and HTTPS termination, as you can see here. Okay, so let's go with the application load balancer and create it. Okay, first thing we need to do is give our load balancer a name. So here I'm just going to say my, and then I'm going to say LB. Okay, so my load balancer. Make sure that you set the scheme here to internet facing. Okay, this is because we want to route traffic from clients over the internet to targets. Now, our targets I'll explain later, but that's basically our two servers here, our EC2 instances. These are our targets. Okay, make sure the IP address type is IPv4. Okay, under network mapping, okay, you can just leave the default VPC, okay? And under mappings here, okay, what we want to do is we want to have a highly available load balancer. So what you want to do here is you want to simply choose all of the, the availability zones that are available to you here. So make sure you check all of them. This will ensure that your application is highly available. Okay. All right, under security group, so we need to create a security group for our load balancer. Okay, so to do that, we can just open in a new tab here, create new security group. So we're going to create a new one now. So let's just do that. Now I'm going to give it the name my LB SG. So my load balancer security group. Okay, as a description, you can just say my load balancers security group. Okay. Leave the VPC as default. The outbound rule is perfect because we want to allow all outbound rules coming out of our load balancer. As for the inbound rule, you want to set it to HTTP. Okay, and you want to set the CIDR block to the following here. Okay, this states that any IPv4 address can connect to our load balancer. And to be safe, go ahead and create another rule on HTTP that's going to use this CIDR block here, which means that anything with an IPv6 address, any machine or device with an IPv6 address can connect to our load balancer. So this is for IPv4 addresses, and this is for IPv6 addresses. So bear in mind that, and make sure you connect these two inbound rules. Okay, great. All right, so you can leave the outbound rule as default and make sure you have the following for your security group. So this security group will be for our load balancer. Earlier on, we created security groups for our EC2 instance, so just remember that. Okay, so now you can create your security group. Okay. Okay. So just remember, it is very sensitive in the description. Okay, I'm just going to say my LB. Okay, so just remember, it is case sensitive here. Okay, there we go. So our security group was created. Perfect. And if we go to security groups, we can now see it. We have our load balancer security group. And this was the security group that I created for, for my EC2 instances. And if you're wondering about how that looks, if you go to inbound rules, okay, you'll see, let's actually move this up. You'll see that I have two here, one for HTTP, TCP, port range 80 for IPv4 addresses, and then SSH. So this is what I meant earlier when you had to create a security group for your EC2 instance with these two rules, with those two checkboxes. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we can close this here. So we can refresh here on our load balancer page. So we're back on the load balancer tab. Okay, make sure here that you just refresh here under security groups. And you choose my LB security group, the security group that we just created. Okay, so there we have it set and go, it's ready. So this default one we can close now because we're going to use this load balancer security group. Okay, so now we have to configure listeners and routing. So we are going to leave the default at HTTP at port 80. And we need to select a target group, but you'll notice we have none. So we need to open a new tab here to create a target group. Okay, so let's just wait for that. Okay, so we want to choose a target type that will be instances. We want to set the targets as these two EC2 instances that we have. So this will be our target. So the load balancer will forward, you could say internet traffic, or distribute it, would be the right way of saying it. It's going to distribute internet traffic to these two targets. So refer to your EC2 instances now as targets. So it's instances, and we can choose a target group name. So I'm going to say mylb dash TG for target group. You can keep the protocol HTTP port 80. You can leave the VPC as default, protocol version as default. Everything here you can leave as default. The only thing you need to make sure you select is instances. Give your target group a name, ensure that it's protocol HTTP on port 80, and you can leave everything as default. Now we can say next. Okay, let's get there. Okay, now what we want to do, we want to register our target. So this is going to help to ensure that our load balancer routes traffic to this target group. Okay, so let's select the instances. So it's these two here. So server 1 and server 2. Okay, these are our two servers. And we want to say include as pending below. So be sure to click that. There we go, set. And we can now see the targets that will be associated with our load balancer, which we're busy creating. So go ahead and create this target group. Okay, there we go. So we've created the target group. Perfect. So it's all set and ready to go, and we can see it's here. Now we can close this here, this tab, go back to our load balancer configuration, and we can refresh here. And we want to select our target group, which is mylb-tg. Great, so this is perfect. Now we can scroll down and let's just review everything. So we are creating a load balancer that is internet facing, allowing IPv4 addresses. We just created a security group to allow internet traffic to go into our load balancer. Our load balancer is highly available, so it's available in US East 2A, 2B, and 2C, and we're listening at port 80 on HTTP. And we are connected to our instances here via our target group, as you can see here, mylb-target group. So let's create our load balancer. Okay, so it's busy being created, and we can say view load balancer now, and there we go. So it's currently provisioning. So this will take some time to provision, maybe 5-10 minutes or so, maybe even 15 minutes. So just give that some time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause the video and wait until this load balancer has been created. So let's just wait for that, okay? And then we'll carry on. All right, so it took some time. So if you just simply go ahead and refresh, okay, you should now see that your load balancer is now active, okay? So what we can do is we can actually now go ahead and actually connect to our load balancer. So you want to just scroll down here. So under description here, so select your load balancer in this checkbox here. Just see description, and you just want to go here on the scroll bar here inside and scroll down until you see DNS name here. So this will be under the basic configuration section. So go ahead and copy this here, okay? And you can go to another tab here and just type in, copy and paste your load balancer DNS name. And you'll now see you'll be redirected to server 1. And you're probably wondering, what about server 2? Like, I don't see that. So what you can do here, watch, refresh. And you'll see here now that your load balancer is distributing internet traffic, okay, between your two servers here. Okay, so this is essentially how load balancing works. So let's say you have a real web application. Okay, each user that connects to your load balancer like so is going to be greeted with a different EC2 instance. So one user might see this page and another user might see this page here that says server 2. Okay, so essentially in a real world application, you're going to have the same application. It will look exactly the same, but you can at least here understand the concept of how a load balancer works in the essence that you are distributing internet traffic between two different EC2 instances like you can see here. Okay, so I'm going to close these here so you don't get confused. So that is essentially how it works. So the application load balancer is going to help you to distribute internet traffic between your EC2 instances, and your EC2 instances are these two here. Okay. So that is how you would create an application load balancer and how you would register your EC2 instances as targets. Okay. So that's that, and I hoped it made sense to you. And yeah, that's it. So that's how you'd create an application load balancer and register it to your EC2 instances, which are referred to as targets that you set in the target group. All right, so that's it.